Well, I finally got around to building another Gundam model kit, but nobody ever told me how fast these damn Gundam markers run out. Hey everyone, so I'm back with another video. This time around I have a bunch of stuff to share with you guys, including a Gundam model kit that I recently purchased and put together. It's the first one that I've put together in quite some time, and I'm still trying to get a hang of it, but I had no idea that Gundam markers just run out so fast. I barely even used this one, and it just dried out on me instantly. I really think that either I did something wrong, like I ruined it somehow, but I really don't know. I haven't had much experience with these things, so I still have to figure out if I did something wrong or not. But anyways, let's get to the stuff that I got. Before I get to the Gundam model kit that I built, I'm going to show you guys some DVDs that I got. I went to BMV. BMV is a local store that sells books, movies, comics, what have you, tons of different stuff, including some like vinyl, CDs, random things like calendars, audiobooks, all sorts of things. Pretty interesting store, and I do go there looking for lots of things, mainly laser discs, but they don't get too many of those all that often. But I did see these in their sort of recent acquisitions section. Usually they have a couple of bins at the front of the sort of DVD section where they display all of their recently traded in DVDs and Blu-rays. Found these here, all relatively cheap. First movie is Event Horizon. I got that for just $4.99. Next movie, also for $4.99, is Rushmore. And the third movie was $6.99, and it's a copy of Martyrs. Now, Event Horizon, I've seen this a couple times, but it's been quite some time since I last saw this movie, so I really did want to watch the whole thing in its entirety again, and it was kind of a letdown compared to what I remembered of it. As for Rushmore, I've never actually seen this movie, but I've heard lots of great things about it, so I thought, hey, it's about time that I actually get around to watching it. And considering what kind of movie it is, I thought, well, definitely I will like it, so it'll be worth the $5 at least to me. And then as for Martyrs, this movie here, I actually saw it in my horror movie class back in university, and I did like it then, and when I saw it for this cheap, definitely wanted to grab it and rewatch it again. I've actually managed to track down some of the movies that I watched in that class, including Phantom of the Paradise, and some of the movies I already had from that class because I am a horror movie fan, and this one here was definitely one that I wanted to add to my collection. Moving on from there is the Gundam model kit that I got. This one here seemed pretty interesting to me because it was a transforming model kit as well. But before I get to the model kit itself, I'm just going to show you guys these here. So I went ahead and I bought a Gundam marker. This one here is GM01. For what it matters, it's basically just a fine tip black Gundam marker for panel lining, stuff like that. But this here I used it to fill in missing paint applications on some Digimon toys as well. So I suppose maybe that's why it stopped working so quickly. I also got some sandpaper, but I think I got the wrong kind. This one here is 1000 grain sandpaper, I suppose, and I definitely should have got something coarser than this here for the purposes of removing the nub marks on the pieces of the Gundam kit that I was building. But I suppose I should just hold on to this for now and see what use it'll bring me later on. As for the Gundam kit that I got, this one here, I don't actually know its full name, I suppose. MSZ006C1 Zeta plus C1. This one here is transformable. What this model kit does is it transforms from this robot mode that you see on the front there into a Wave Rider mode is what they call it here, which is basically a sort of jet with a gun on the front of it, and you might be able to make it out right there. Now the reason why I went for this one here is because it transformed. I did want to grab a master grade set, but I also wanted to get one that transforms to really challenge myself, even though I've only built like 3 of these before, and I've only ever built one other master grade set, and it was pretty challenging. By the end of it, I think I spent well over an entire day putting it together. I even had some help putting it together, and still I could have probably done a little bit better. I'm actually going to have to wait for another Gundam marker to come in the mail because I did order one off of Amazon as well. But it ended up being the same price as the marker that I bought from the store locally, so I might just wait and go to that store sometime and buy some more. The store that I got this model kit from is called Anime Extreme. It's in downtown Toronto on Spadina, near Spadina and Dundas, if I remember correctly. And it's a fairly well-known store. They sell model kits, Figma figures, all sorts of stuff like that, including art books, minifigures, and a whole bunch of different stuff. And I gravitated towards this one just because it was one of the few master grade sets that they had that also transformed. They showed me another one that was pretty much the same exact figure that was just slightly smaller, but it was in red and white. This one here is all in a sort of gray color, but I do very much so enjoy it, and I did put the whole thing together. It's currently up on my bookshelf, so it's just out of view of the camera. Moving on from that Gundam model kit, I actually found some other toys that you also have to build and put together, but these ones are definitely less complicated. I had received an email a couple of weeks ago from the Pokemon company. It was just one of those newsletters, but it advertised a new construction set, basically the equivalent of Lego or Mega Bloks, but some other brand that I've never heard of before called Mega Constructs. Basically, these are Lego sets of Pokemon, but they're not official Lego, but they are officially licensed by the Pokemon company, so that's all that matters. They had individual Pokemon in Pokeballs that were priced at $7.99 or $8.99 if I remember correctly, and I grabbed just 2 of them. The first one is Eevee, and I just put it on top of the Pokeball there. Fairly decent, but the proportions are kind of weird. And then there was also this Pikachu as well. Again, the proportions are kind of off, but Pikachu's always adorable no matter what. Now, the other one of these that I got, this one is still in the box. It is a larger set of one of the starters. It is of Charmeleon, and this one here comes with some scenery as well to go with it. And on the back here, it actually shows that there is another set with Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, and you get some scenery as well. And there's also another set with Charizard and another one with Gyarados from what I remember. That one isn't advertised on the back of this box, but I did see it on the other ones in store. When I went to the store, all they had were the little Pokeball ones, and then they had the Stage 2 starters, which included Charmeleon, Ivysaur, and Wartortle. Kind of forgot the names there. It's been quite some time since I've sort of played a Pokemon game with the original starters, so their names sometimes escape me. Moving on from the toys I got, though, the video games, and I got some really good games here. So I suppose I'll start out with the first one that I bought out of all of these. It is a game that I got from a store that I've actually never been to before. It's in the northeast end of the city, inside of a mall called Agincourt Mall. I've never been there before. I just happened to be going by in a bus, and I was just looking on Google Maps to get an idea of where I was going, and happened to see it pop up on the maps. So I got off the bus and went into the store, and of course everything was overpriced. They did have some interesting stuff that you don't see as often, but it was mostly 6th gen stuff, so GameCube, PS2, and original Xbox. They did have some Dreamcast games, but they were just sports and other crap that I really wouldn't care about. But I was surprised they had a lot of sealed PS2 games, and I did find this one here for just $14.95. It is a game that I already have. Mine is open though. I'm still trying to decide whether or not I want to keep this sealed copy or just try to trade it or resell it or whatever. For $14.95, I got Phantasy Star Universe. This here, I think I might end up just passing it along, maybe trade it towards something, because there are definitely plenty of games that I want to get in the near future that I just don't think I'll have money for anytime soon. Moving on from that, I went to the Value Village that is the closest to me, but the one that I go to the least often, and big surprise, they actually had games. And the game selection that they had was fairly decent. They did have some N64 games, all of which were trash. I think there was like a Donald Duck game there for $24.99. It was really stupid. So I just put those back into the display case. But they had, of all things, Master System games, and they were not priced well. Basically, the cheapest one was $4.99, but they ranged from $4.99 all the way up to, I think it was $24.99 and $19.99, so it was really expensive. But I ended up grabbing these two games here, the ones that piqued my interest the most. First one is Shinobi, and this one was actually complete with the manual as well. Not in the best condition, but at least the manual was included with it. And that one there was $9.99. And the other Master System game that I got is a copy of Double Dragon, and this one was $14.99, but it was missing the manual from inside of it. But at least the cover's there and it's in pretty decent condition, just a little bit of damage on the case itself, but that could just as easily be swapped out. So very happy with these two finds. Now the other games that they had there, just off the top of my head, they had Hang On, I think some Safari game, and a copy of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And I think that one sort of caught my interest for like a minute. The same day that I got those, I was on my way home and I stopped by the thrift store that's just down the street from me, and they had a bin full of DS games. Now, I looked at the games that they had there, and I saw that they also had, in a plastic bag marked for $49.99, a Crimson Red DS Lite, which I already have. That was the DS Lite that I got when I was younger. And it came with a whole bunch of extras, but basically no extra games in there were included. But in the bin of games, I found this here, Mario Kart DS, for just $5. So I grabbed that because definitely I can get more than $5 out of this in either trade credit, or I can even sell it for more than that. So definitely gonna go towards grabbing some other game in the near future. Now the last two games I want to show you guys are games that I bought brand new. They're games that I had pre-ordered at EV Games and I went and picked them up recently. The first game here, I've already been playing it. Well, I was actually playing this game before it even officially released. There was the early access that started for approximately 4 days before the game launched, and I've been playing this game here for many years now. It is the latest expansion for Final Fantasy XIV. It's Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood. And I was really happy to finally get to play this expansion. I've mentioned time and time again that I don't really care for story elements in MMOs, because that's what Final Fantasy XIV is. It's an MMO. So I don't really pay attention to the story, but definitely the new zones, the new dungeons, the new elements to boss fights have definitely been enjoyable. So very happy playing this here, and you might hear this crinkling around as well. But as a pre-order bonus for getting Stormblood, you did get the early access code, you got some DLC as well, and you also got this banner for pre-ordering from EV Games. Now, I would open this, but then it would be a mess to sort of fold it back correctly and put it in there, because I really have no intention of displaying this or doing anything with it. Sort of just wanted to get it for the sake of getting it. but still very nice, and it features the big baddie for Stormblood. Now, the last item that I got, the last item that I want to show you guys for this video, is a game that I have played before. It's been re-released several times. It was originally for PC, it was on Steam, then they ported it to the 3DS, they made a physical copy for the 3DS, which became extremely rare and hard to find. This game here, though, they re-released it with a whole bunch of added stuff for the Switch, and it was just $40 plus tax for Canada. And I really like that I did actually get this version of this game. It is Cave Story Plus, and really, props to Nicalis. The reason why I commend them is because they put together a very nice physical copy of their games. So they did release Cave Story Plus and also Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, and both of them, I already talked about the Binding of Isaac in a previous video. That one came with a full color manual that's really nice and reminiscent of the manual for the original Legend of Zelda on the NES, and it also came with a bunch of sticker sheets. This here now, though, Cave Story Plus, it comes again with a full color manual that is reminiscent of like NES manuals. Really nice, definitely very helpful, and has a lot of really nice pictures in there as well. You can see more in the centerfold there, and as well as including a full color manual with tons and tons of details. They also included a mini disc soundtrack in here. Now, I see why they included a mini disc, because a full-size CD would not fit in that case, and packaging it in something larger than a Switch case would just cost extra money. But to put it on a mini disc is still nicer than to have simply been given like a download code. So very happy that they actually bothered to put something physical in here when they could have just as easily put a download code. So very happy with this release here. I did start playing it again, but I haven't had much time because as they released this, Nintendo also released digitally only, but for the Switch, Gun Vault, Mighty Number 9 combo hybrid game. I'm going to try to put a picture of it here so that you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about. But they released that game digitally. It's just a platformer that is just like Mega Man, pretty much a Mega Man experience, crossed slightly with Gun Vault, which is another game that was released only digitally on the 3DS initially, but then they did release a physical version of it as well for the 3DS. So very happy playing that game, and it's kind of distracted me from actually getting more into Cave Story, but hopefully I can for once complete that game in some capacity. So that's it. That's everything that I got. As always, leave comments in the comment section below. Anything you'd like to say, comments, questions, suggestions, ideas, anything at all, just put it in the comment section below and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Check out my Facebook, Twitter, and website. They're all linked in the description below. And also linked in the description below is a link to my 500 subscribers contest. Check that out as well if you'd like. And that's it. See ya.